Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective. To those who know, the feminine, she knows the way to the heart, and the masculine, he knows the way to the mind. And that's our embodied brain. And so lovers consistently know what the truth does. It empowers us. And as a mystic spiritual one, I like to inform you, science has figured it out, how everyone can have that lovely kingdom of God that is within us come forth. Thank you, Jesus, for the kingdom of God quote. Oh, Sadhguru mentions the seed of enlightenment is within us. So with Bessel van der Kolk, Stephen Porges, Peter Levine, Dr. Daniel Siegel, Fox, Pat Ogden, bunch of people, essentially everybody can access their feminine and their masculine. And so we don't need shame or distortions anymore. Those weaken people actively. But we still have our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters for now. So while we are surrounded by 8 billion and growing people, the emotionally mature ones know how to do the jaguar dance. We protect all of life like the jaguar does with the Amazon. And that's in times of fear, and it brings courage and certainty, but it's not the we know everything. It's more of we know 99, no, I don't know. We know, they say we know 1% of like the truth, so, or of data. But let me pause because I'm the woo-woo lady who likes to share with you journal prompts so that you can continue expanding yourself. How has my ability, oh, I'm sorry, wait, do you need explanation on that one? I don't think so. Write down, or put on your phones. How has my ability to notice effective realism and activation and pivot to love by engaging my ventral allowed me to grow beyond distortion and towards truth? So luckily for me, I've been doing this since I was a kid. Love and truth empower you toward wellness, which comes from intentional living choices. That's why you're an embodied brain that's conscious. Means you are very well aware of how we build profound resilience. It's a long-term objective. Inner well-being by staying grounded, connected, and present within your sovereign blueprint, this embodied brain. And that means you own your mind. So you wield the thoughts and the emotions like a champ. And we know it's a world about feelings. And obviously we also want what's right. So we are present within our sovereign blueprint as a regulated leader of yourself. And so check out PayHip if you do want the 10-minute pivot to your ventral in any kind of moment where you're dealing with emotionally immature people or something's going down, something that creates uncertainty. So like the jaguar, you protect yourself in moments of uncertainty by going from uncertainty to steadiness, and that's the ventral pivot dance. And so you practice ventral energy alignment, and that's why we, with a little micro habit, we do put your left foot in and your right foot in. So you're being yourself the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. And that is why the ability to notice your effective realism is I'm full of emotions, or my activation, I have very strong feelings, I'm not confused by them, and therefore you know how transformation works. Spiritual ascension awakening, every time we have energies about, people grow themselves personally and spiritually. The ones who are committed to stories as ways of telling us who's a good group or a bad group, we're going to leave that to the 3D, 4D to continue entertaining each other with. Well, we have fun with it too. But in the meantime, I get to be the one who says, why are we stable, mature, adaptable, rational, and teachable? Because we do know even God cannot decide your inner well-being. If you refuse to cause misery to yourself, then no one can inflict it upon you. Thank you, Sadhguru. But there's a question. No, there's an equation, Sadhguru. So what I've always noticed from spiritual or philosophers, the ones who don't go and learn about the embodied brain, is they don't not explain it to you like a 5-year-old. Enlightenment soul age group here. So that's actually one of the reasons why I was able to make sense of how come 3D, 4D are going to stick around. And then I also was able to make sense of it because of Stephen Porges. When people get triggered into either mobilization, defenses, or shutting down, they develop elaborate narratives to make sense of what their body is doing. I was also able to understand that people can become parts of communities, because we're all relational beings, and continue to support their very maladaptive patterns of behavior. the inner critic, outer critic, drinking, drugging, fucking, the jealous, envious, spiteful, calling polyamory whores, calling monoamory who cheat whores, usually using that ignorance language of those who are not surrounded necessarily by the ones who are educated in a way of being discerning, equanimous, and loving. And educated simply means that you're epistemically curious, although I do have a master's degree in international relations and the diplomacy. But that doesn't matter because, see, here's the deal. It's bottom up and top down. So do you own your mind? Because if you own your mind, then you know how to say, shh, be quiet, someone else is talking. Let's share the floor with all the 3-year-olds. Then you know how to ground yourself and think peace and joy are not things you attain at the end of life. They are the basis of life. But thank you, Sadhguru. This is why you need to have your sovereign blueprint and own it. So the timber of truth will only resonate with those who resonate with that which is wisdom. Wisdom, the word of wisdom, diffuses conflict with clarity. So when someone wants to continue using monsters, demons, energy vampires, and continuing with stories in a way of dehumanizing God's perfection, well, some of us are like, we're all angels. All the same. I'm full of effective realism and charges. I'm pretty sure my facade friend can tell you all about how when I was yelling in his face, all that has to just be yourself, that I was being a bitch. Pretty sure that's how he felt about it. And I'm like, you're still an asshole, man. And I still feel the same way about you, but I love you to death. Okay, so we're all angels. All you need is love and healthy fear. And then the reality is subjective reality. It's a champ. He's a champ. Anybody late in the tramp? Enlightened ones know the timber of truth, both in spirituality and in science. And it's because enlightened and empowered human beings bring us together. So they don't have a good team and a bad team. We bring it all in, Anima Mundi. Yes, and we protect the future by saying, please, dark matter, dark energy, don't implode. So scientists continue to prove God's perfection and how we can all resonate with the forgiveness that Jesus taught some of us and Holy Spirit and God, and how none of us are it. And that's why above the fray we go when people choose to commit themselves to there's only a special group and then there's a bad group. Well, we all know how it works. Truth always wins, and the truth is that systems upgrade because that's what our species is. And we're a complex system, you see. And it doesn't matter what you look like on the outside, it's what's on the inside. And when you have bilaterally, vertically, overall integrated brain people, they know exactly how to wheel themselves to the point of not being noticed by anyone. Have I read to you recently that one quote? It's a favorite one of mine. Hold on for it. And it's really fun as you continue to notice how many people do have fun in life and then how many people don't know, unfortunately, how to do this thing. Wait, here it is. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Okay, so when it comes to our lovely species, we don't have any enemy, but we do have people who are consistently trying to prove themselves. And that's in ways that unfortunately is obvious to the ones who are like, okay, look, the truth comes forth because there's this thing called lies have short legs. And really today I can tell you it's that the dark sides of neuroplasticity don't look good. So in someone's pathology, because unfortunately they did not heal that which was within them, doesn't matter what they did with their community, it's going to all look like Ice Age from Diego's family from Ice Age, excuse me. So shame and distortions only fool the ones who want a good team and a bad team, who eventually isolate themselves to the point of saying we're all crooked and devils and demons because we believe in science. Then there's those of us who remember what a jaguar is, and it protects life. And that's why the embodiment of any of those who are enlightening by the minute, it's not about better angels, Shiva, Kali, Krishna, Lila, they're all stories. No, our spiritual ones, we know exactly what the energetic, how do I bring it, intelligence is. And so, like Thomas Campo points out, the left likes to have ways to make sense of things. Like the enlightened ones know, we have a right. And so expert yogis, they know all about darkness because they're not afraid of it. I'm bringing the human element. So when I read Existential Physics, no, I haven't read it yet, but I look forward to reading it. It didn't make me think, oh my God, my life is done. I believe more in Sabine than in God. No, I'm a spiritual one. I'm always going to be a spiritual one. Well, at least in this lifetime. So you do understand we don't prove faith. And when someone points a finger and calls us names, we just remind ourselves, wow, that's bad manners. Yeah, I know who God is, by the way. But hey, let me leave that one alone because it doesn't really matter. I'm not here to school you. I'm here to continue making my choice point, which is to expand and continue to enlighten myself. And then in a room, be in my ventral while I got assholes around, quote unquote. And what does neutrality and ventral energy do to those who are in minimum energy mode? One, it replenishes them because that's how tired they are since their survival mode is. Then number two, they're confused like the motherfucker that you don't even know how confusing it is to somebody to think that neutrality means you're hiding, which is why they're always thinking you're hiding something. But as they get to know you, you're like, nope, I'm not hiding anything. The mask doesn't come off because you're not the liar. Their mask doesn't come off because they don't notice they have mustard on their chin. So when people do the shame, divisive stuff, and they continue to create followers of each other, you don't think, oh my God, let me go copy some mediocre people who are actually completely ignoring the signs. I saw signs. So instead of tricking your brain, how to trick my brain to think it's okay to not have a partner? Why would you trick yourself? Why would you lie to yourself? You don't want to actually help yourself to know that we're social beings. So of course you want a partner. We all need one securely attached figure because we're going to die alone with the bear. No, we're scared shitless of the bear. No, we're human. We're a species. So when scientists explain to you how we work, it's like, yes, we're a community of people. And when we spot the ignorant ones, we don't copy them. We show them how it's done to treat people that they will choose to point a finger at and treat like little pieces of shit. And you think, wow, I don't need to say the word bully or the word not bully. I don't need to use any words. I can actually stand, reach out, be the helper of an individual who's being treated like shit for no other reason except for they need help for sure. That's not a question. But my point is you show manners by being the person who, like Jesus pointed out to me, forgives and knows how to turn the other cheek and then knows how to treat others with respect because we are not going to create the rejection wound. Now, the ones who are afraid always of some dangerous thing going on, well, I like to let you know fantasy stages are really crappy because there's a bunch of people that speak a bunch of shit from their mouth. You find out they're all cowards. FYI, I'm 46. So it's not like you grow up and become dumb. You grow up and know relationships are easy to handle and to keep moving forward. People who get older get dumber by the minute as they look like their own adolescent version. I really don't have words for the dark sides of neuroplasticity except for it's just so obvious that the scientists are on to the perfect equation, no, to the truth, the data. So emotionally immature people, they just get like Gargamel at the worst case scenario. The best case scenario, they're Care Bear called the grumpy one, but in other cases, they're not going to be near anyone who owns their sovereign blueprint and knows what love and truth are because we're going to be like, look, you can keep thinking science is not needed, but you're going to stay on Earth. No, I'm pretty sure our future humans won't leave you on Earth, even though you think we're all yucky devils and demons because you don't want technology. Somehow you decided that everything connected to technology and science is evil. Oh wait, that's right, the ancient books that write about music and technology as evil, and so they still want to use the words evil, devils, demons, those who are shaming, distorting things and continuing to not enlighten humanity. And let's leave that one alone. So instead of tricking your brain, let your brain know we all want one securely attached figure. That's part of being a human, and actually when you're healthy you know that. And when you're healthy and healing, you also know that. And you say, I'm going to heal my relational. And that's because good therapists are out there. So telling your brain the truth and then being objective about the fact that we have mental and emotional health as we pursue our own mindset practices and journal prompts. So again, you're choosing to be the person who says, yes, we can do it. The less connected you are to what is objectively true, the less likely you are able to make decisions that will benefit your life, the life of your family, even civilization itself. Thank you, Neil deGrasse. Science is true whether you believe in it or not. So I have faith. You don't have to believe in God or spirit or Akash. I don't prove spirituality. I let you all know I embody it, and then I share with those who understand why we bring it all in, and then we look at our 3D, 4D brothers and sisters and like, that's not cool. You really want to stop, but that's okay, because we're not going to think of what the consequences are, because it will be clear what the consequences are for people who treat each other like Ice Age, Diego's family. Shame, 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 shame on those grown-ups who don't care about those children. We're going to continue to educate, enlighten, and that's why educators are badass, and so are researchers, and so are all the grown human beings who care about their sovereign blueprint and do the ventral dance. And we put our left foot in, and we know how easy it is to think because we know how easy it is to feel. For those who practice ownership of yourself, it's a day-to-day mindset and lifestyle choice that you get to do because you're being yourself since you don't have a mask. So unlike my facade friend who still struggles with his core wounds and all the other humans who will not choose to get themselves to become their first and one and only, no, we're a securely attached solo self with relational self. So we do no dirty, because that would be on my conscience. It would stain. No, I don't have an image to uphold. It would feel wrong. That's how easy it is to say, I won't do wrong. I'll help you get off the floor. So my facade friend, after 5 years of me not talking to him, he's the only man I never talked to on purpose. And I was like, you disrespected our friendship. That's my persona pattern and my temperament. So you take ownership of yourself. It doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that I have, let me see if I can find my notes before we go. Lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, as he points out some very good pieces of information when it comes to our personality patterns and our temperament. And so temperament is something about, hold on, actually. I had organized it to be able to read it to you all, and then I lost it, of course. And now I'm sifting through a bunch of pieces of paper. Here it is. I think, hold on, don't go anywhere. Give me a minute. Patience is a virtue. Here it is. Okay, so temperament, the inborn neural propensities and architectural mental organizations of the nervous system. That includes features like sensitivity and intensity. Personality patterns are the collection of values of how emotions, thoughts, and behaviors happen across the states of ourselves and the stages of life. And so when you know your personality patterns, your temperament, and then you have the securely attached life you love, you know the truth. My facade friend, he disrespected my beliefs. Okay, so I didn't talk to him for 5 years, but when shit hit the fan, and I, as a mystic, knew shit hit the fan, the part about being made fun of, I mean, the twin flames, yes, twin flame 1, 2, 3. Again, it's not fun to see people that you love make choices that you're like, you can know enough about a subject matter to think you're right, but not enough about a subject matter to know you're wrong. And you totally don't know your first 3 years of life, your first date, and you're not doing anything to bring yourself back online completely. But hey, I love you anyway, Gargamel. We're not scared of you, Grumpy Bear. I was one too when I was a kid. So I don't say to him when he's left broke, failed business, love of the life, was going to get married, just ghosts him, cuts him out. That's it, done. And so we speak for the first 2 days, very seriously, I might add. I said I did the right thing because you're my friend, even though, you disrespected me, but you're my friend. And he said, I don't know how you do it, Maria. And I said, what? Be a friend? When you're down in trouble, then you need someone to, right? So when people think that friendship or any relationships are actually like not, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's no strings attached. So that's what love is. But my friend, he loved me too. So emotionally immature people, they can be selfish, but we all can be selfish. When it comes to the dangerous, physically speaking people, there's Michael Stone's evil scale. The first 9 actually need therapy. They all need complete help. So do the other, but the end of the spectrum is kind of where you want to make sure we can help everybody to get safe in this body and have an embodied brain that's safe and stable, and that will completely support our society to grow into one that is of a species that knows how to use this lovely complex system, but it's really not that complex. So the flow state pushes the brain to the edge of its criticality. And I'm like, is it a soft push? Because I haven't been pushed to the extent of what it's just fun to be in my brain, in my thoughts, and in my feels. That's how easy it is. So some of the books that can tangibly explain, and to any of you who are wanting to be the owners of yourself, so the mindset practices that are on PayHip, they're for people who put it into practice. Mindset practices, journal prompts, and then the free PDF. Then there's 2 guides, your Sovereign Blueprint and the Regulated Leader, but books that can support you. The first one by Alan Fogel, PhD, Restorative Embodiment and Resilience, a guide to disrupt habits, create inner peace, deepen relationships, and feel greater presence. That is actively the number 1. So if you know how to do your ventral pivot, then that's going to do great wonders for you. 2, interconnected me plus we as the integration of self, identity, and belonging by Daniel J. Siegel, lovely Dr. Dan, MD. And number 3, The Left Brain Speaks, the Right Brain Laughs, a look at the neuroscience of innovation and creativity in art, science, and life by Ransom Stevens, PhD. And remember, our right is not our indulging parent, but it can become a judgmental asshole. Our left stays a fascinated child, does not become a delusional idiot. The 3D, 4D, on the other hand, they're in a whole different ballpark. So, as the nervous system sovereign person in front of you likes to say, a spiritual master or guru or anyone who is enlightened, restored, embodied, self-aware, accountable, and regulating will not base their judgment on another human being. They will just know, let me leave it alone. 1, 2, 3, you're out. No, 4, 5. Okay, I got a child in front of me. Let me handle the 8-year-old right now. And that's it. And that's because that's how it usually works. Without characterological distinctions, you're able to share the truth and say, I love you. I told you I'd always tell you the truth. With my facade friend, we're friends. And after the 3rd year where we were talking again, I said, I'll ask you to be yourself. And today with attachment trauma education, the ones who don't know how to be themselves, they like distortions because they are still living out their shame. And you can't actually convince them to go to therapy because that's not how it works. Somebody needs to notice that they have mustard on their chin, and no matter how many other people try to make them, I'm a 3-year-old too. You can't make me. And that's how they all work. So this is why, God, you're amazing. So God sends all of his angels together to support that which is our expansion. The ones who want the monsters, well, I have news. The 3D, 4D don't do what's right by them. So you can't make someone become that which is their enlightened version. But when you hear Sadhguru's stories, there's one of this compulsive thief, that these people who are at a spiritual master guru's place, they're surrounding the thief. So they're treating a person like a little piece of shit. They're ganging up on the thief. And he comes on over. He's like, what are you doing? He thieved again. You need to kick him out. He's like, no, you need to forgive him. Like Jesus taught me, God teaches me, like all of those who want to talk about spirituality means you know how to forgive and remind yourself you're not it. Also, Source doesn't want to experience suffering, but the ones who continue to actually live out the on and off of their own unfortunate sympathetic and dorsal vagal because they don't want to choose to get, So long story short, he says, no, you can't. You must forgive. And while he is sharing with his supposedly disciples this, they're not really welcoming it. But the person, the compulsive thief, shatters at the feet. So the story makes me think of how the beautiful and amazing entire attachment trauma educated community, the ones who are emotionally mature, are able to, whether you follow Jesus's forgiveness or lovely Dr. Dan Siegel, how he talks about it, or maybe none of it, but you just know how to process emotions with your own embodied brain. So love, truth, and knowing we're all different. So different isn't good or bad. Like my lovely facade friend, some people will move into maturity, some won't. And the shattering of the shame comes from self-love and compassion, and then also external. So we're relational and solo selves, and that we that Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about, it's amazing. And so this is why integration of the brain, higher human potential, and our flow state, and whether you believe in spiritual stories or not, and our ancestors, the part about what is nice is to know how the enlightened ones continuously want to teach compassion and love. The sciences explain to us how to be this, and that's why I suggested the books I did. And again, the Inner Growth Mindset journal prompt for those of you who are ready to be your sovereign blueprint, the regulated leader in environments, and at some point, shape, or form, completely embody self-leadership. It's really fun. All of God's lovely children, all angels, all of us. And whether mystic, spiritual, or mindful alone, it's still beautiful to go on a journey with a bunch of different people. So how has my ability to notice effective realism and activation and pivot to love by engaging my ventral allowed me to grow beyond distortion and towards truth, which means living that lovely functioner child adult, and we get to love very freely and unconditionally each other with flaws and imperfections. And like with my facade friend, we are friends with all. No cutting cords, no need to. A spiritual master, guru, expert, enlightened human being who's compassionate and knowledgeable will know how to look at every person with the same eyes of potential, because they all have it. And then they will know how to not think that just because somebody has compulsive behavior that they have to go down some bad path. And as for the ones who do, there's prisons for them. And there are repercussions, because lies have short legs, and really what it is that distortions weaken window tolerance, and shame actually doesn't support people to see clearly. So at the end of the day, it's all going to always work out. Our species evolves, expands. Thanks, Neil deGrasse, for keeping us grounded. And again, scientists prove God's perfection, and we get to share with those who think that there's some demon or monster somewhere. Please stop. As Hippocrates told his community, when we find out what epilepsy is, we won't call it the wrath of the gods. We now know what a lot of things are, and it's particularly this lovely embodied brain. And when it's integrated and it works because you're allowing yourself to be the owner of your anticipation machine, the embodied brain, the pattern recognition, your mind, and you sift it, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, and you know all about yourself. And when you're under pressure and activated, you're like, it's cool, I know how to be my grown-up version. That's our pivot, and we continue, not suppress. We talk about strong emotions, thoughts, and continue to work with our personality patterns, our temperament, and our lovely whole selves all together. Like Ice Age, but not Diego's family. It's Manny, Diego, and Sid all together. It's a small world after all. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.